Happy Tuesday. Welcome back to Inside the Lines. We got a lot to cover today. As promised, we'll start our Super Bowl prop portfolios today between me, Steven, and Jake. We have some NBA to get through, some college basketball as well, and of course some NHL. Before that, John and I are going to take a look at yesterday's recap, little 5-2 night for the team. Can't complain there. We finally got John back. We're doing some NHL today. We are back to the drawing board. Now, this is actually a really, really interesting play that I feel like is not getting a lot of media coverage, but we have quite the streak going on here.
Yeah, we're going to fade actually the team on the streak here. We're going with the Golden Knights on the money line at plus 130 against the Oilers. It's on DraftKings. So the Oilers have won 16 games in a row now. The NHL record is actually 17 games, so they're going to tie the NHL record tonight. And like you said, I don't think it's getting a ton of hype. We were talking about this in our early show, and we kind of figured it out on an early show. I thought the record was over 20, but this break couldn't have come at a worse time for the Oilers because they just had a few days off. Now they go on the road, so they haven't really had time to practice. They go up against the defending Stanley Cup champions. Everybody's in Vegas right now, so it's going to be a packed house as well. But the Knights have also won 7 of their last 11 games, and they're 18-5-2 at home this season. So I like the value on the Knights here. I think they could pull off the upset and end the Oilers streak before they can tie the record.
Yeah, at home with everyone here at plus 130. You really don't get defending champs at plus 130 type of value ever. So that is a sneaky play. I like that a lot. Any more NHL questions? I'm going to send John to the chat to answer them as well. We're going to kick it into the Super Bowl prop portfolio now. If you have any NFL questions as we go through this, please feel free. Steven has gotten really competitive about this and really confident. But nonetheless, we can pull up the model if we want. I'm going to use some banners to start us off here. Each of us will have 3 prop plays that we like the best. I'm going to start with Jake's play here, someone we've talked about last week as well. Isaiah Pacheco, you like him to go over his rush attempts.
Yeah, his attempts were actually at 16.5 last week. It's actually 17.5 at minus 115 on PointsBet, but you get a FanDuel at minus 122. Actually, it's 125 now on ESPN and FanDuel. Most books have gone down to 15.5, which kind of scares me a bit. But we have him at over 17 carries. It's all a game flow thing, but we saw that Detroit had some success running the ball right up the middle against San Francisco. So maybe Kansas City saw that. Yes, Pacheco was a little bit banged up, but he had a whole week off. So I like this play.
All right. I like that too. All right. We'll move over to Steven's pick one. He's going a little more creative here from our earlier shows this week with our defense props.
Yeah, I'm banking on, obviously, if one of us goes 3-0, the others go 1-2 or worse, then they're going to win. But I'm thinking that we all might bat the same. So I'm going for plus values. So I like Justin Reed over 4.5 solo tackles. You can still get plus 130, plus 135 even. The model has it at 4.6, which is exactly what he averaged this season. The last time I played San Francisco was a game last October, so not this season, the season before. Purdy actually came in that game. McCaffrey had just been traded. He had 5 tackles in that game. So he had 6 in the playoff games versus Buffalo, but only 3 in the Miami and Baltimore games. But that was because Miami and Baltimore's offenses both struggled and weren't on the field that much. So I don't think San Francisco is going to have those same kind of struggles. And so Reed is one of those safeties that plays all around, plays in the slot plays. So he'll have a lot of tackle opportunities, a lot of, it could be yak tackles or helping out against the run. So I think that he'll be all over the place. And I think San Francisco will have the ball for at least half the game.
All right. Bold move coming out with the plus 135 value there. I'm going the complete opposite, minus 135, but we'll start with Brandon Ayuk here. I forgot the N on his name, but whatever, we move on. Not convinced by the chemistry between him and Purdy at all. He hasn't had even 4 receptions in the past 3 weeks, so I don't understand how we could get to 5 right now. Again, outside the 150-yard fluke, it doesn't seem like he's been really picking up any yardage here. Now we're going against KC's secondary, who seems to be a big issue for a lot of teams. I think he'll have all the attention on him, which will lead into my other prop, which I know Jake feels similarly about, but I just have a really hard time believing we're getting to 5 receptions here. All right, round 2, here we go. Going back to Jake here, Patrick Mahomes, we're looking at over 4.5 rush attempts.
Yeah, so he's 3-0 and his 3 Super Bowls on the over 4.5 rush attempts. I think he's had 5 twice and then 9 one year. So I'm just riding with the hot hand. It's gone over all 3 times. It has to go over a 4th time. We have him, I think, at exactly 4.5 rush attempts in the model. But he likes to run when it comes a little more when it comes to the playoffs. This is another one where an off week helps these guys heal, and so he's going to get a ton of pressure from the outside from Bosa and Young. So he's going to have to use his feet.
Yeah, playoff Patrick Mahomes. I like that here. Someone in the chat was talking about how they did both quarterback rushing yards over parlay. Is there a reason you like the attempts more than the yards?
Just safer. I don't know. I think if it's correlated, I think if he gets his attempts, he probably hits the yards. But I just think if he does kneel it down, even the first half, right before half, they have the ball, San Francisco punts, and they have to knee it once or twice. That's a rush attempt. If they're winning and he kneels it, maybe even once, twice, or 3 times, those are rush attempts. So that's why I like the attempts, because the kneel downs count towards it.
Mm-hmm. Smart thinking there. All right, Steven, we're back to plus money defense here. Chris Jones, sack.
Yeah, so he's, again, much like myself, he's incentivized to not only get more money this season. I'm not sure exactly what he has, but I think he has something on the line. But also a huge payday, maybe a record-breaking payday as a free agent. So the model has him for right around half a sack, 0.5. So this is a half a sack or more plus value. The Purdy sacked line is 2.5 with a -137 both on the over and the under. And Chris Jones accounts for well over 50% of his team's sacks when he plays. It's over a 49-game sample. He had the over was 9-7 this season. He had 10.5 sacks in 16 games. He did have sack against the Ravens, but the Ravens' strength on the O-line is their interior, whereas San Francisco is obviously the left tackle, Trent Williams. I've seen varying reports from PFF that they grade the rest of the offensive line pretty poorly. So I think that he'll have a lot of opportunities to get at least a half a sack.
How many times did he finish with exactly half a sack this year? And did it push?
How do I know? Isn't that your job?
Didn't do your research,
You knew I was going to make this pick before. You had like at least, you stop walking that dog so much and, looked up something.
Looks like just once he finished with half a sack. So it's 10-7-1.
Sounds like Team Steven isn't doing his research. I don't know how to feel about that. All right. I'm going to my second pick. Might be the favorite pick for the Super Bowl. Elijah Mitchell, over 3.5 rushing yards here. We just came across this. There's a lot of ways that this could go our way. We are betting on probably 1 or 2 plays, but we're looking at CMC either taking a break because he just had a long run. He had a great play. He needs a little second on the sideline, or there's a chance he has a little bit of an injury, nothing crazy, but needs to go get evaluated for a second. So either ends of Christian McCaffrey's performance could lead to this, on top of the fact that it's the Super Bowl and a lot of the teams start pulling out some random plays that no one was really ready for. We could see Mitchell maybe getting some more snaps than anyone anticipated, including the Chiefs. And on top of that, he averages 3.7 yards per carry. So that's all I have to say there. I think we could get here, especially in the fourth quarter, maybe. Who knows what the situation this game is, but I could see this happening. I think we just need 1 rush attempt here. All right. Let's move on to pick number 3. We'll start with Steven here. Justin Watson, finally seeing some offense from Team Steven, over 15.5 receiving yards.
Yeah, you want to get this now because it's up to 17.5 pretty much everywhere, but it was still 15.5 on Fanatics, I believe. So I'm sticking with the finance theme, the portfolio theme. Justin Watson is, much myself, a fellow Penn grad. I think he was actually a finance major from the Wharton School of Business, famed School of Business. So, he's got to deliver this. But the big thing is, started the week and a half ago. He and Marcus Valdez-Scantling were around, I want to say 14.5 on the receiving yard line. But MVS's improved play in the playoffs has steamed his line up to like 20.5 in most spots. So the sports books and the model have them similarly rated. at around 20, 21, 22 receiving yards. So the public narratives of steam that MVS lineup. So I think that Watson is, and maybe the tape will make San Francisco a little more wary of him and put a little more attention back on him, leaving Watson open for some spots. The over is 6 of his last 7 meaningful games. Week 18 was not a meaningful game.
Right. Yeah, and me and Jake kind of have similar reasoning on the other side here. We're both going with Juwan Jennings prop. I'll let you go first, Jake, taking his receiving yards here at 14.5.
Yeah, third and Juwan. They just like to go to him in the clutch moments. He had that crazy catch. Yes, he only finished with 1 catch, but it was a very, very big catch, and definitely it's going to stay in Purdy's head when he knows he needs to find someone. This kind of goes with you fading Ayuk. Maybe Juwan Jennings gets a couple more looks, but getting back to his Tennessee days, he came up with the clutch plays a lot. Unfortunately, a couple of times against my Gators, but I think I really like this number. I was deciding between this or MVS longest reception over 13.5 yards, but I think I trust Jennings a little more than MVS.
Yeah, I was looking at that play too. I know something we talked about a lot last week. I'm also going with Jennings basically for all the same reasoning. I do think if he's going to get 14 or 15 receiving yards, it will have to be from 2 receptions. I just have a hard time believing it will be 1 reception. So I'm thinking you might as well get the plus money to get 2 receptions instead of 15 yards. So similar reasoning. I think he'll be a clutch player in this spot. I think there's a chance we can get 2 receptions out of him. Maybe we got a low line because of last week with only 1. So I like that there at plus money. All right, let's take a look back so far at where we are with our portfolios here. We got 3 player props here from all of us. If you guys want to get those in now, maybe we're going to start moving lines. I don't know. You don't know the influence we have now. All right, and then this is the schedule rest of the week. Tomorrow we'll start to hit those national anthem, Gatorade, all of those fun things, and we'll get touchdown scores and then parlays by Friday. We'll have a nice portfolio for you guys to take into the weekend. All right, we're going to head into some NBA now. Get your NBA hats on. A lot to go over here. Taking a different approach today, all right? We're going to kind of categorize these players a little bit more so than going through games. So we're going to start with something we like to do a lot. We like to buy some players and some picks low when it seems like we're getting a lower line based off of what has happened recently. Let's start with the Nets up top. We like their money line. They're coming off the loss against the Warriors. Why do you like them here, Steven?
It's surprising. It's backing on Ben Simmons. So Simmons has come back and he's played every other game. And the 2 games he played recently, they were +9 and +6 on the boards. They won by 15 and by 33 points. The other 2 games he didn't play, they got demolished on the boards, got crushed by Phoenix and Golden State. And, in the 50 games he's actually played, his team is plus 2.9 the point differential with a 29-21 straight up record. In the 85 games he missed, they were -2 point differential with 36-49 straight up. So I also like the fact that Derek Lively is out for Dallas, so they don't rebound well even with Lively. And so in this case, just having Simmons out there rebounding and playing defense could tilt the scales back in Brooklyn's favor.
Mm-hmm.
Also, Cam Thomas is going to go 3 for 20 every night, and like yesterday, he couldn't hit anything, and he still ended up with 18 points. I had him over 24.5. It was so frustrating. He just kept chucking up the ball, and nothing would go in. But even if he goes 8 for 20, you think this would hit?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he always is.
Let's talk about another buy low character here, Keontae George playing OKC. Now, it seems like his line is low because he's been averaging only just above 5 in a 20-game stretch, but on the season, he's averaging closer to 7. So at some point, we got to regress back to the mean here.
Yeah, and our model is right in between those 2 numbers at 6.5 rebounds and assists, so nothing crazy in 22 minutes, and you're getting plus value on over 5.5. I like the fact that he's been shooting well. That was his issue earlier in the season when he was getting major minutes. Over his last 4 games, he shot 53% from the field, 40% on threes. So that's good enough to keep him on the court. And then if he's just on the court, he's not a selfish player, and he works on the boards as well. So just the minutes, if he gets to that 24-minute range, then I'd like his chance of getting 3 rebounds and 4 assists.
Yeah, that seems definitely feasible for a player like him. Let's move over to Tyler Hero. Post-injury might be a stretch of the word. He's coming off a migraine game. But, Jake, I'll let you explain why we think he can go over his rebounds and assists.
Yeah, Derek did mention that he has been talked about in the trade market, but as long as he plays, I don't think they're gonna restrict his minutes at all. But if he doesn't play, it's just voided. So I like Tyler Hero over 7.5 rebounds and assists. We have him for close to 9 in the model. And if you throw away the game where he only played 9 minutes against the Magic at home last year, he's hit this in his 4 previous home games against the Magic before that, where a lot of those he had 10 or more. So, and he's averaging 11 or 12 assist opportunities a game since the Lowry trade. So it's more of betting on a lot more assist opportunities, and we also have value on the rebounding in the model as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, someone you can look at who's directly affected by some of these trades. Let's move over to Tyrese Halliburton. Now, he is post-injury. People still seem to be underestimating him because he has been hitting his overs with such low totals and still hasn't moved up yet.
Yeah, he has, 3-1. His low since returning is 13 points. So he, for the season, he basically averages just over 0.7 points per minute. And, I think it's pretty safe to say he'll get his 22 minutes. And that's what we're expecting him. And the model's actually projecting for 16 points. He's been shooting really well. I don't know, maybe playing fewer minutes, maybe less responsibility. Les Bernie just sort of picks his spots. And Houston's defense on the road, they play really good defense defending the 3 at home. But on the road, they're 5 percentage points worse. They allow 37% on the road. And Indiana shoots 4% better on threes at home. The Rockets allow like 116 on the road, which is considerably more than they do at home as well.
All right. Looks like a good opportunity for him here. Jake, in the chat, are you talking about Halliburton we have for 23 minutes?
Yeah, so I know a lot of the concern is minutes, but we've definitely accounted for that in the model. So we expect him to play between 20 and 25 minutes.
Right. Yeah, so that seems feasible in that time span as well. All right, let's move over to a different little category we have here. We're just fading the defense here. This is not as much to do with Damian Lillard, but more about the defense he's playing in the Phoenix Suns.
Yeah, he's projected for a little more than 1.9 points, but we have him for 25 points. But it's more of the Suns have been one of the worst teams against point guards in the last month. Lillard's coming off a bad shooting game, so a little bit of a bounce back here. And primetime Dame usually pops off, so I like Dame here.
All right. Good stuff there, a little primetime Dame. Let's move on. We'll head over to Reject City here. We got some blocks. We got some people being victims of steals. A lot going on here. We'll start with Giannis, though. Little juice here at minus 150 on DK.
Yeah. I like it because I think it's minus 160, minus 170 elsewhere. His blocks, he's really, when he first burst on the scene, he was one of the league leaders in shot blocks. But last year, he was very passive. It was down to well under 1. But it's back up a good 33 to 35% this season. He averages 1.2 more on blocks on the road than he does at home. The over 17.5 this year on the road. Last year was I think 500. The Suns also get blocked more at home. I think it's because the game flow I'm expecting them is to try to maybe get some calls on Giannis and Lopez, challenge at the rim, get them in foul trouble, get some friendly calls from the home refs. The over is 11-7 and Giannis's matchups versus Kevin Durant, but just one of his last 4. So I think that also they need some wins. I don't know how much Doc Rivers is sparking them, but they blew a pretty big lead at Utah. They haven't been playing well. So I just think it's one of those big high profile games that they'll be getting up for. Mm-hmm.
We'll head over to a player that might just be having some more turnovers based off a bigger offensive role right now in the offense.
Yeah, Precious is true with Randall out. He's been putting up a lot of points and playing a ton of minutes. He's played over 30 minutes his last 5 games and 40 plus last 3. So when he's just rebounding and playing defense, he's not doesn't have the ball in his hands enough to turn it over. But when he has scored 13 plus points, he's averaged 1.7 turnovers, and the over is 9 and 6 in those games. So not a lot of them. Basically, averages around 0.05 turnovers per minute. And I think it's a safe bet that I'll continue playing over 30 minutes with the injuries to Randall and the way that the Knicks have been playing.
Mm-hmm. I like that play. We haven't seen a lot of him yet this season.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's move over to shooters who shoot. Simple enough here. We'll start with Nicola, who just has a lot of volume and has not exactly been cashing, but it's kind of been giving us a low line here.
Yeah, and I think, obviously it's a tough matchup defensively against Rudy Gobert, but over 13 games, he's averaged over 27 points and rebounds in matchups versus Gobert. He is averaging 27.7 this season. And I like the fact that over the last month, last 13 games, the over is 9-4, and he's been averaging 30. So since Zach LaVine got hurt again, went back, he's had 20+ field goal attempts in 3 of his last 4 games. I'm hoping that they look to Vucevic to try to get Gobert into foul trouble and look at him offensively.
Mm-hmm. Then we can move over to the Magic, head to the Heat. We've talked about some of these players here, but we have some pretty solid value on the over.
Yeah, so prior to their 95 to 103 loss to the Clippers, Miami home games, the total points are 221, 223, and 253. The average total at home is 227 this season versus just 215 on the road. So Miami has not been playing great defense at home, but they've been shooting well at home. And recently they've been struggling with it. Duncan Robinson's been out with a concussion, and he's likely back. So hopefully some of those Tyler Hero assists will go to Duncan Robinson and some made threes. So they only shot 27 and 23% from 3 in the last 2 games, kind of due to regress to their mean, which is 39% from 3 at home. Orlando, they're only shooting 34% from 3 on the road for the season, but recently been getting hot. They shot 42, 36, 35, and 47 in this 4-game road stretch.
All right, plenty of plays there. Again, a few different categories. I started a poll if anyone's curious to see if you guys like if we go game by game better for the NBA or more so split these props up into certain categories here. I'm going to send Steven into the chat to talk a little more NBA if anyone has questions. Jake has 2 college basketball props for us here. We will start with Boston College on the money line.
Yeah, I'm not going to say I don't like that our model is going against FSU. I'm not going to say I don't like it, but I do like it. So with a game with the spread this close, 2 things I like looking for is free throw disparity and turnover disparity. And our model really likes Boston College winning both of those. We have Boston College winning by 8. FSU struggled on the road the last 2 years. Boston College is 9-3 straight up at home this year. So just playing a team that needs a win, just kind of stay in the bubble. Both teams actually really need a win, but Boston College at home, they got their home crowd into it. They shoot around 75% from the free throw line compared to FSU, just around 65, 64%. So it's a pretty big free throw disparity for a close spread.
All right. We love people fighting to stay in the bubble here. I don't know much about Boston College basketball, I'll be honest. What does their season really look like?
They're like in the middle of the pack in the ACC. They have a couple of good players like Quinn Post, some good guard play, Jaden Zachary, but they're not a scary team when it comes to the March Madness. But they're all around solid.
All right, well, let's move to another team that probably we won't be seeing in March Madness, Arkansas Little Rock. You like them to cover?
Yeah, this is a big game. I went big game hunting for this one. I saw Arkansas Little Rock and like they're a wagon. I did a little research into this game. Arkansas Little Rock's better at home. They have a couple SEC transfers, KK Robinson from Arkansas, a couple other good transfers on our team. They're playing a lot better. I think they've covered 4 of the last 5. So I think we have them also winning by 5 or 6 here. So just playing the value here. I think we have an A pick on both their money line and their spread, but I just changed it to the spread just to be safer here. I'm just going with one of the 2, but I think it's a good matchup at home for them as well.
All right. Arkansas Little Rock. I'll be a fan. Maybe I'll buy some merch too. Like, who's our Cinderella? Indiana State?
Indiana State. And I was listening to Barstool, part of my take, and they were talking about Indiana State. I'm like, that's our team. You can't talk about them. We've already claimed them. We
have to claim them early. All right. I'm ordering us merch tomorrow. That's done. All right. Here is the recap for today. A lot to go over. Some NHL, some NBA, some college basketball here. Then we also have the 3 player props from each of us that you can also put in now. Some of them are some act now plays, so I certainly get the value while you can. before the week gets away from us. Again, tomorrow we will continue to chip away at the Super Bowl. We'll hit some of those fun props. We'll be doing some research. I assure you a lot of analytics on Gatorade colors to come. So with that said, good luck with your bets tonight. Reach out with us with any questions, and we will see you guys tomorrow.